Greetings and welcome to Yarnspirations.com. I'm Mary Beth Temple with Hooked for Life. This is the Little Trapper Crochet Hat. This is just the cutest stinking thing. It is made in Bernat Softy Baby Chunky 1 skein of the Teddy Brown and trimmed in Bernat Pipsqueak, which is a fluffy novelty yarn, and you'll need 1 ball of that too. A size I9 5.5mm crochet hook or size needed to obtain gauge. Look at this thing. It's just adorable. It has the little folded back flap, has its little ear flaps with the trimming and little ties to keep it sturdily on their head, and it comes in 2 sizes. I'm going to make the smaller size. Let's get started. The hat so far is a very basic hat. If you've made any center out, top down hats before, I'm sure this will be familiar to you. But if this is your first hat, you chain at the beginning and form a ring, work the number of double crochets in the ring that the pattern specifies. For a certain number of rows or rounds, you're going to keep decreasing evenly, and it will tell you very specifically in the pattern how to do that. When you get the width you need, you'll work even, and that's what causes the shape of the cap to curve down, so you have something hat-shaped. Now, the next thing we're going to do, let me get my crochet hook back in there, is we're going to do the ear flaps. And the ear flaps are on the 2nd page of the instructions, and we're doing the right ear flap. So I'm going to take that off camera to get the light enough that you could see the brown yarn. It's blowing out that pattern something fierce. So read along with it. It's on page 2 and it says ear flap. First row, slip stitch in each of next 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chain 1, single crochet in each of next 10 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Leave the rest of the stitches alone. We're not going to address those at all on this ear flap. So we're going to turn, and on the 2nd row, chain 1, single crochet in each of next 10. So we're going to single crochet in each of the 10 that we just made. Okay, there's 10. And then once again, we're going to turn the work. So now we're going to just work on these 10 stitches. This is where the ear flap is going to happen, and there are decreases moving forward that's going to give us the shape. So on the 3rd row, chain 1, single crochet in the first one, because remember the chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Single crochet 2 together. So insert your hook in the next stitch, yarn over, pull it through, and the stitch after, yarn over and pull it through. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 at once, except I'm having issues today. Single crochet in each of next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, single crochet 2 together, bring it through the stitch, bring it through the next stitch, you have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, single crochet in the last stitch and turn. So I'm not going to do the rest of the rows on camera. You get the general gist. Follow the instructions blindly, and when you get finished with the 8th row, you will fasten off. For the left ear flap, you're going to go back to these single crochet or double crochets that don't have anything in them. So that is the stitch, that is the last, let's get it a little closer. That is the last stitch that is worked on that ear flap. So to place the next ear flap, now it will be 15 or 16 that you will skip depending on what size you're making. I'm making the smaller size. So I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and it says skip 15, so I'm going to count off those 15 and ignore them, and then I'm going to join into the next single crochet. So if I have to figure out what I'm doing, go grab my hook and grab my yarn and all that stuff, I may just put a stitch marker on here on the 15th stitch, and then I know that I'm going to begin my left ear flap here. So I'm going to join the yarn with a slip stitch, chain 1 single crochet in the same space as the slip stitch, and then single crochet in each of the next 9. That gives me 10 in a row like I had for the right ear flap. And then let's see if I can do this without burning it all out. We're going to follow these instructions from the double asterisk to the double asterisk, at which point both of my ear flaps will be done. And then we're going to put on the edging, and I'm going to talk about that next. All right, here's my little ear flap. I have worked back and forth in rows, and I have fastened off where I've been told to. And now the next thing I want to do is the ear flap edging. With right side facing, join A, which is my pipsqueak, with the slip stitch at the top corner of the ear flap, chain 1, and work 28 single crochet evenly around the sides and bottom of each ear flap, and then fasten off. So I know that I'm going to want to put 3 in each corner to make sure the work goes around the corner evenly. So that's 6. That's 2 of the 4 stitches I have left. So I'm going to want 1 here and 1 here. That'll give me 2 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has been recommended that I do 28. So I want 10 stitches down each side. Now, if you wind up doing 26 or 30, whatever you need to do to make it look nice, that's perfectly fine. Just make a note of what you did so you can do the exact same thing on the other ear flap so things look neat on both sides. Now I am once again going to adjust the lighting so that it is a better look for the pipsqueak rather than the brown. So hang tight and let me fix this light. Okay, I know which side the right side is because I can tell from the area that I was working in rounds. So the right side is the side that was towards me when I was stitching. So I'm going to grab this ear flap. I'm going to join in that corner right here with a slip stitch. Let me tug that a little tighter, and I'm going to go ahead and crochet over this tail just so I don't have to try and weave it in later. Novelty yarns like this that are fluffy are often a little difficult to weave in, so I feel like if I crochet over it, it's going to be tight enough on this side that I won't have to weave it in. I'll only have to weave in the one on the other side. So I've slip stitched and chained 1, and now I'm going to work 10 down the side, crocheting over my tail just because I want to. Now, stitch definition in pipsqueak and other novelty yarns, you're not going to look at this and go, oh my gosh, I can see every little stitch, because you can't. It's meant to be an edging. So once again, you want to count so that you're even on both sides, but don't make yourself crazy about where the stitches are. Let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to put 3 in the corner, and again at this point I'm going to let the pipsqueak tail drop. I'm going to crochet over the teddy bear tail just to make the weaving in ends a little easier later. So 3 in the corner so they lay flat. 2, 3. Then I have these 2 single crochets in the middle that are not corner stitches. I'm going to put 1 in each. 1, 2. I'm going to put 3 in the corner. Okay, here's what it looks like. We have this nice fluffy edging. And then I'm going to work 10 up the other side, like I worked 10 down on this side, and then I'm going to fasten that off. I'm also going to put the same edging with the same number of stitches on the other ear flap. At that point, all I have left is the front flap and the ties. So let's take a look at the front flap. Now we're going to work briefly on the front flap with right side facing. Join A, which is our pipsqueak, with slip stitch in first, skipped stitch at center front between ear flaps. Chain 1, single crochet in same space as last slip stitch, and single crochet in each of next 14 or 15, depending on the size, single crochet and turn. So what's going to happen here is we're going to the area between the two ear flaps. So I can take that stitch marker out because I don't need it anymore. And you may remember that we skipped 15. So I'm going to go to the first one after the slip stitch edging. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes! I counted right the first time, so we're good. So we'll go to the first stitch. So that stitch is part of the ear flap. So I will go to the first stitch that we skipped, slip stitch, chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, and then in each of those single crochets until we hit the other ear flap. You can count it, but I also know that that's as far as we're going. When we hit the ear flap, we're done. Once again, crocheting over the pipsqueak tail, so I don't have to deal with it later. You don't have to do that if you don't want, though. You can always weave it in later. And then I'm just going to do a very little bit of the next row. You're going to continue on following the instructions. There's a couple of rows that are even and then a little bit of decreasing. And then you just end it off and fold it up and tack it into place. And that's enough of that, I think. But I want to talk just very briefly about working into the pipsqueak. Okay, so there I've set up my flap. This is one of those yarns where you're going to feel it as much as you're going to see it. It is difficult sometimes to find both legs of the next stitch, but you can see what I'm doing with my left hand. I'm sort of spreading the stitch a little bit so it's easier to see. It sounds fiddly, but it's really not. It's something that you will wind up doing intuitively as you stitch across. Just putting the least little bit of pressure on that stitch. Here's the next one. Tells you exactly where to put your hook. And honestly, you will get the feel of it as you go. If you sit there and stare at it, you're going to make yourself crazy. So get used to the feel of it. And for the first couple stitches, really kind of use your fingernail, your left hand if you're right-handed, your right hand if you're left-handed, and spread that stitch a little bit so you can see exactly where to go. And then all you need to do for the ties is chain the number of stitches, I think it's 21, and slip stitch in each chain to the end, fasten that off, and attach those ties to the bottom of the ear flaps as shown in the photograph. I hope you enjoyed making the little trapper crochet hat. It's very quick to make up and it is just adorable for the small person in your life, and it also makes a terrific gift for an expectant mother. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon here on Yarnspirations.com.